Okay, picking it back up where we left off. Find the slope of the line passing through these 2 points. So we're still dealing with slope. So you still have to know your formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So if you're calling this your first point and this your second point, oops, my bad, this your second point, then your second y value, remember we got xy, your second y value is negative 3. Minus your first y value is negative 7. So if you really want to go hardcore and use your formula like that, you can. Then your second x value is the 1 in the back minus the 7 in the front. Okay, now clean it up. These two negatives, I'm going to make a positive. And so I got 1 minus 7. So that's going to be negative 3 plus 7 is 4. 1 minus 7 is a negative 6. Now you can't leave it like that. You want to make sure you've reduced your fraction. So that's going to be a negative 2/3. And remember, you can use that second PRB inner, and it'll reduce your fractions for you. All right, keep going. So this is the equation of a line. It's given. We've got 4x plus y equals 3. And what do they want to know? They want to know, find the slope and the y-intercept. Well, that means when they use these words slope and y-intercept, you should be thinking y equals mx plus b. So change it to that form, and your slope and your intercept is going to be staring at you. So move the 4x over, it becomes negative. And so, like we talked about in one of the previous problems, this is your y-intercept, and this is your slope. And so you just come over here, slope has got to be negative 4. Y-intercept is a positive 3. Now, I would be suspicious, and I don't know if they're going to make you write it as an ordered pair, but be prepared for that because it is a location. And it does say graph it. So we need to start at the y-intercept, positive 3, up here, and then slope is negative 4. Slope is most useful when you write it as a fraction, so put it over 1. That means we're going down 4 to the right 1. So from my dot, I go down 4, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. So I can connect those two, and I should be good to go. And that's it. So then it says find the slope and the y-intercept of this line. Well, notice it's already in slope-intercept form because it's already y equals. So your slope is what's in front of x. Well, that is an understood 1. So m is 1. And your y-intercept, the b value, is 2. And again, I don't know if they're going to ask you to write it as an ordered pair, but be prepared. I don't know. But that's the values you're looking for. So then it says write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that has the slope of, the y-intercept is 4, and your slope is 2/3. Okay, so use that form that we just talked about, y equals mx plus b. And all you have to do is put your values in. 2/3 is going here, 4 is going there, and you're going to be done. So y equals 2/3 x, and then we're going to say plus 4. That's what it asks for, so you've got the equation, and we have it in slope-intercept form. So that's what you need to submit. Okay, exponent rules. Great. So if we take this, and we got x to the 4th, got a negative 6y to the 2nd, and all of it's raised to the 2nd. So write your answer without parentheses. Okay. On these, you can do a bunch of your exponent rules, and order really doesn't matter, just as long as you do them all. So if you're trying to get rid of the parentheses and you're trying to apply this, that's just a positive 2. That means everything in there gets raised to the second power. So you've got to take this x to the 4th and raise it to the second power. Well, remember the rule, when you raise a power to a power, you multiply. So that's going to be x to the 8th up there. Now, don't forget the negative 6. This is like saying negative 6 and we're going to square it. So negative 6 times a negative 6 is a positive 36. They're jerking your chain right here with this negative. Be careful. Then you got to come in here with this y to the 2nd and also raise it to the second power. Well, 2 times 2 gives me y to the 4th. So that is my final answer. That would be what I need you to submit. If you're rusty on your rules, remember, if you are multiplying like bases, you're going to add your powers. If you are dividing like bases, that means that you're going to subtract the powers and you're going to put the leftovers where the larger number was. So if it's in the bottom, then you got to leave it in the bottom, put a 1 up top if so if there's nothing else there, so that everybody knows, hey, that stuff's in the bottom. And then the other rule that we just did was if I've got a power raised to a power, I multiply the two. So you got to make sure that you keep your rules straight. Okay, so rewrite the following without an exponent. Okay, now hopefully y'all remember whenever you raise something to the negative 1 power, what that does is it moves them. So if the entire fraction is raised to a negative 1 power, it flips it. So flips the fraction. Okay, so your answer is just going to be 7/9 because a power of 1 doesn't do anything. But the negative turns it upside down. Now, if I confused you, this is why it works the way it does. All right, they all have a power of 1. Well, use the rule that we just did. Multiply the powers. That's going to be 9 to the negative 1 power, and that's going to be 7 to the negative 1 power. Well, like we just said, a negative power moves them. So 9 does not like living in the top. 9 wants to live in the bottom. So that's 9 to the positive 1 power in the bottom. He's happy. Take the negative off. 7 doesn't want to live in the bottom. He wants to move up top. Now he's happy, so he goes from being negative to being positive. But the power of 1 doesn't really change anything. So that's why it works out the way it does, but either way you go through it, 7/9 is your answer. All right, when you get to this one, we're supposed to work all this out. There's nothing to reduce inside, because if you notice there's no, can't reduce 3/2. Oh, wait a minute, excuse me, those are z's. So we could reduce it. Let's see here. We can go ahead and do that. 3/2 is good. But for my z's, I got 3 up top, got 5 in the bottom. That's the difference of 2. So I've got 2 z's in the bottom, none in the top. I don't have to put a 1 up there because the 3's, that coefficient of 3 is up there. All right, I never messed with that exponent out there. Now remember, this negative right here is going to flip my fraction upside down. So just take your fraction and turn him upside down. Take the negative off. You didn't do nothing with the 3, so don't mess with it. Now we're going to take everything in there, and we're going to raise it to the 3rd power. That means we got to raise the 2 to the 3rd power, because that's a 2 to the 1st. We got to raise the z to the 2nd to the 3rd power, and the 3 to the 3rd power. So 2 to the 3rd. So, I mean, if you wanted to do it, this is what we're getting, if you want to get detailed. 2 to the 3rd, and that's going to be z to the 6th, 2 times 3. And then I'm going to do 1 times 3 is 3 to the 3rd. You don't need to type it in that way, though. You should figure out what 2 to the 3rd is. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and that's going to be z to the 6th. And then 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So that's what we're looking for right there. So you can work it with as many steps as you want. Okay, next one. What are the leading coefficient and the degree of the polynomial? Okay, you do need to put it in descending order first. That is important. So descending order. If you don't do that, it's going to mess up because you're going to see that word leading and you're going to grab the one at the beginning and your answer is going to be wrong because it is not based off of 5u to the 4th. So when you put it in descending order, the biggest power is that 9. So you've got to take 8u to the 9th, put him in front. Then comes positive 5u to the 4th. Then you'd have the negative 3u. So now we're in descending order because remember that's 1. Your focus should be right here on this guy. Leading coefficient is the 8, and the degree is that big power, 9. But the trick there is to get it in descending order to begin with. Okay, so this thing says simplify. When you see these problems, the best order of business is to always let your eyes go right there in between the parentheses every time, because that's going to let you know what to do. This is a subtraction problem, which means we have to distribute the negative. If you don't distribute the negative, your answer is not going to work. Okay, now the first set of parentheses, there's nothing out here in front, so it's good to go. You can just take the parentheses off. There's nothing to distribute. It's all good. But the back set, that negative is going to change every sign. So just think opposite signs. So he goes from being negative to being positive 2y squared. He goes from being positive to negative 5y. Goes from being positive to negative 6. Okay? Once you get this done, you're just combining like terms. And again, we're not balancing. This is not an equation. There's no equal sign. So nobody needs to come in here and start doing this jazz. That ain't going to work. just get your like terms together, and you'll be good to go. So we have a positive 7y squared and a positive 2y squared. They go together and give you a 9y squared. And remember, your variables have to be the same. Your powers have to be the same. So those are gone because they're the only y squares I had. So then I'm going to look at this and I'm going to be, all right, so where is my, where are my y's? My linear terms, they're right here. So I have a -1 and a -5 make a -6, and that's just y. You're telling me how many y's you have. And then the last thing you're going to do is put your constant terms together. I have a +4 and a -6 makes a -2. So this is my answer. I cannot go further because my y's have different powers, and the constant term doesn't even have a y. So you're stuck. All right, so come over here. Again, let your eyes look straight in between, though reading does help. Multiply, you're going to have to distribute here. So you're going to take the 5 and you're going to multiply him times everything in the second set. So 5 times 5, that would be 25. Then 5 times 2a, that's a positive 10a. Use your sign as the connector. So always have something in between your terms. Now go back and get the negative 2a. Don't forget that negative. Negative 2a times 5 is a negative 10a. Then I got negative 2a times a positive 2a is a negative 4a squared. That's the only time you're changing powers is when you're multiplying a variable times a variable. Multiplying a variable times a variable. Okay? Adding and subtracting does not change powers. Okay, we're going to put our like terms together, and the only thing we have alike is these two both have a to the first. But if you notice, one's a positive 10, one's a negative 10, they cancel. So you have 25 minus 4a squared. You can't put them together, you're done. Okay, keep going. So it says rewrite without parentheses and simplify. Well, that means write it twice. Okay, so I've got this, and I'm going to write it another time. And we're going to do exactly what we just finished doing. 4x times 4x is 16x squared. 4x times a negative 5v. Okay, we'll just do the 4 times a negative 5. That'll be negative 20. Now I've got an x and a v. Just put them in ABC order. What is that? T, U, V, W, X. Okay, so Vx. And then you do that one. That'd be a negative 20. And then Vx. Just do it in the same order. It doesn't matter. It's multiplication. Order doesn't. You can reverse it. And then whenever you get to the last one, you got a negative 5 times a negative 5 is a positive 25, and that's v times v, so that would be v squared. Okay? Then these are like terms. Now, don't get too happy because you got 20vx and 20vx, but they're both negative. So they don't go out. You actually have to add them together. So that would be a negative 40vx plus 25v squared. Can't put anything together because your variables don't match. All right, then they gave you a big one. Okay, so hopefully I got enough room up here. We got to distribute everything. The instructions help, but also look and see that it's squished. There's nothing in between. So just go ahead and distribute. 4u squared times 5u is 20u to the third. 4u times a negative 7 is negative 28u squared. Now go back with the next term. 3u times 5u is 15u squared. 3u times a negative 7 is a negative 21u. And I ran out of space, so I'm just going to have to loop my stuff under here. Sorry. 2 times 5u is 10u. And then 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. Let's see if we can put the finishing touches on this. Get your like terms together. There's not another u to the third, so write them down. Cancel them out. Find your u squares. These go together. You have a negative 28 and a positive 15. So just type that in. Negative 28 plus 15 is a negative 13 u squared. Don't touch that exponent. Put your u's together. Negative 21 plus 10 is going to be a negative 11 u. And then there's not another constant term, so negative 14 is it. Okay, we'll keep going in the next one.